It's part of a long tradition that the Navy should be flexible and able to fight on land as much as at sea. It came to its height in the Victorian period when the Navy was used very much to help the Army in campaigns all over the world, and often that help was given by fighting ashore with guns. The great and famous occasion was, of course, the siege of Ladysmith in 1899 during the Boer War, when the guns were dragged into Ladysmith at the last minute and saved the day by the sailors.
12-pounders and 4.7-inch guns from cruisers HMS Terrible and HMS Powerful were manhandled ashore, taken 200 miles by train and once more over rough terrain. A truly remarkable feat. On their return, Queen Victoria invited these naval heroes to lunch. The Royal Tournament immediately included displays on this theme. Then, in 1907, these exploits were honoured with an interport competition which has been run ever since. Since 1960, when Chatham no longer took part, the field gun competition has been fought out between Portsmouth, Devonport and newcomers, Fleet Air Arm.
7,000 miles north of Ladysmith, 80 years and a lost empire later, that engagement is still uniquely commemorated. A brief war game is now a sport. For generations, the Royal Navy's field gun competition has been a paramount spectacle at the annual Royal Tournament at Earls Court, London. It's between three fiercely competitive teams, Portsmouth, Devonport and Fleet Air Arm. Ironically, its brilliance is almost self-defeating. These men are so good, they make it look easy. These days, the strategic significance of a 19th century field gun is perhaps even less than that of a catapult. But the sequence of taking it apart, throwing it about as though it were balsa wood, and then reassembling and firing it, adds up not only to an exact science, but the toughest sport I've ever seen. It's tougher than American gridiron football. It's tougher than world heavyweight prize fighting. And there's no doubt that the average soccer player would demand a transfer before lunch on the first day. The wheels weigh 120 pounds each, the carriage 350 pounds. The barrel weighs 800 weight, the same as a family car. April the 7th, the first day on the training track. From now on, it's about perpetual dirt and injuries. In the tentative early days, it's the hands that need protection.
Right, now listen, all right? George is taking charge, now listen, shitting it.
Two good ones, ready? 2-6, hooray! 2-6.
Supreme physical fitness is now taken for granted. The next stage is the construction, section by section, of a ballet of extreme violence. In the end, it will produce a perfection which will be understood on the night by practically no one.
Can't be expecting a good run. Take it round again.
Right. Lift. Right, lower. That is how heavy it is. Now, when it starts coming from there, the wheels are going to come off. So you're going to be 240 pounds lighter.
Okay, one more gun then. Yeah.
Now get aggressive, and I want it up and over. That. Yeah. You get that iron, that boy. Lift! Lift! Drive! Drive it up, drive it up. Drive it up, take your time. Good, keep it going, throw it up. Good, Rolly.
20 pressos, Gilly.
Get hold of it.
He's like a store horse getting on a bucket. He's never done it. Never done it before. We want some ice on that, man. Oi. Hold it! Shake! Press wheels! Go! Check it! Good fight, Alan! Fight! Murray, remember, those checks must be in. You just got a nick there.
Why them checks, will ya?
I want over my head, you know. Don't mind me.
You're a pin.
It's all the time. I've the paddocks, I think.
There's an esoteric attitude to injury. Doctors are called for only in cases of extreme death. Otherwise, there's the trackside medic, a former house plasterer with an omnipresent disregard for government health warnings.
Push through.
There's also some lurid terminology. The man who rides the 28-foot chasm on the back of the gun carriage is known as Suicide Trail.
You just bend it slightly on the 10 foot. All right? Don't. Don't worry running along going, If I tell your wheel's likely to come off, I'll tell you. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Right, so you take your pin out, get your pin. Go over there.
Ready?
2, 3, 4, 5. Somewhere! Go! Go!
The lot of a suicide trail is not an easy one. After every run, the sublime madness of it all leaves the tin shed at the end of the track looking like the Crimea.
I don't know about the gun, the ring bounced up.
Oh, it's just 2 years, right?
I just want to bite on Pat. Oh, good woman. Good woman.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't have known.
Yet Pat Brophy, despite the hole in his leg, will be running again inside half an hour. Exactly 22 minutes after sustaining the hole in his leg, Brophy gets a finger crushed. Histrionics are not tolerated.
Down you go, Brophy! Skylarking! Okay, clean drill done.
Just doing it.
Real duck. Biggie.
But again and again, it's the hands that are vulnerable. Field gunning's no place for pianists or portrait painters. For smoking on the track, George Knox is sentenced to 20 press-outs. Before field gunning, he supplemented his Navy pay by moonlighting as a nightclub bouncer. But even nightclub bouncers don't get hit like this.
Read him, George, something.
See here. Get there. First time box, Sorry, most of it's wind, George.
You got windy, that's what you got windy.
Yeah. Come on, lads, set the brig out. I'll try and sit up. Necklace in. Up to that point, it was good. Okay. I want everybody working.
Up to that point, it was good. Field gunners survive on black, unconscious humour. The collapsing sheer leg that struck Knox like a swinging telegraph pole weighed 170 pounds. They dose him with painkillers and the run goes on.
You're okay?
Yeah.
You win, wasn't it?
Not the stuff, not to me, that bastard.
Yeah, you would. Just get your pair of Air.
At least George Knox's appetite remains unimpaired. Field gunners, particularly at feeding times, live segregated lives. For 40 men, there were 4 chefs and sufficient calories to have sunk the Bismarck. And so, as February turns into May and May blossoms into summer, the running times are pared down by remorseless practice from over 4 minutes to under 3. Bugle sounds the final call to regroup, fight and get it right. On the eve of their departure for London, this was the result.
Come on, go!
That analysis of the near-perfect field gun run is what you can't hope to see in the blur of intense competition at Earls Court. After their near despair of a fortnight earlier, it put Portsmouth in excellent spirits for their advance on the Royal Tournament.
For those who never went, how to convey what now cannot be experienced live?
They will have missed a unique combination of action and pageantry and spectacle. I think the atmosphere here is wonderful. It's the atmosphere not only the performers performing, but it's also the atmosphere behind the scenes and the field gun bars and all the chance you get to meet people, which you don't really in normal shows. They all live here, and they all, you know, I'm afraid I never get home much before 5 o'clock in the morning, because you know, you just have a great time. It's a wonderful party, as well as people working very hard. They also play quite hard. It's great fun, and I should miss that a lot. Well, the field gunners, I mean, to do what they do requires a great deal of determination, tremendous fitness, tremendous coordination and teamwork. And I think all those qualities are just as relevant now in the modern Navy as they were in the old days. It's just maybe, you know, the field gun itself is an old-fashioned bit of kit, but that doesn't matter. The qualities required to do it well are as relevant now as they ever have been. And they are amazing, these young men. The way they go about things, doing the most impossible things very, very fast. And it's extremely dangerous and extremely difficult to do. And they've got a wonderful sort of commitment, if you like, is the right word. And they're just, you know, they're very dedicated to what they're doing, and they do it extremely well.
Because it was their entire life. It was the reason why many of them joined the Navy. The whole point about the field gun run was that there was total commitment from the men concerned. They would do anything to win. They would break their fingers, they'd break their legs, they'd break their arms. They had to win. But there was a commitment, which was what communicated itself to the audience, and that's what made it work.
Yes, I can tell you, meet them on a dark night, they're serious men, actually. I mean, they're pretty. I gave up a long time ago congratulating them and shaking their hands. And there was a time I tried it, and it was a complete disaster.
This is the moment they've been waiting for, and as Hearts of Oak resounds around the arena, Portsmouth and Devonport once again take their guns, ready to push themselves to the limit. In fact, over the course of the tournament, each crew races 7 times against each of the other crews, and the winner is decided on overall timing. The record time of 2 minutes 40.6 seconds belongs to Portsmouth, the current champions. They've been a bit hampered by the weather in their training sessions, but more importantly, lost one of their star crew members, Derek French, when he took 900 pounds of gun barrel in the leg and had it badly broken. He's been replaced, but will the team be able to cope with the new addition? The weather's been just as cruel to Devonport, and they had to train on Sundays as well as the rest of the week. They've been the most consistent winners over the last 20 years and are eager to get their hands back on the silverware. Let's see. Over to the starter. And they're off on the first leg of the run this evening. Once down at the Warwick Road end, they wheel everything round and hurl it over the home walls. Men, guns, limbers. And in the centre, the sheer legs are set up with the 28-feet spars on top to help carry the first 2 men of each crew across the yawning gap of the chasm. It's 28 foot wide, and there they go. And they are followed by the 10-foot spars that you now see slotted securely into the ramps on what's known as the enemy side of the chasm. Up go the wires, and on the wires, the travellers. On the travellers, the men with the wheels. Now, each wheel weighs 120 pounds. The gun carriages are close behind, and they weigh 350 pounds. Right, it would appear that Devonport is slightly in the lead now, and as the travellers go back, and next is the great weight of the gun barrels. These weigh in excess of 800 weights each. You wouldn't think so to look at it, though, would you? Then, once assembled, the whole lot are man-handled across the arena through small holes in the enemy walls. It's looking pretty much like they're neck and neck now. And what they have to do once they're through the enemy wall is get into position and fire 3 rounds. Okay, it's all now down to who can get the limbers through first. And they're wheeling the gun into position, preparing to fire. Let's see who gets there first. Oh, well, after that first leg, that was just so close. Okay, so that's the first stage over, and the crews take a well-earned breather while the officials make sure everything is shipshape. Oh, Nigel Ayling, Portsmouth's number 4, has taken what looks like a pretty nasty blow to the head. There's always a medic on hand to make sure he's okay. Ah, he's stapling his head together. Oh, that's got to hurt. But I should think he's probably too charged up to feel anything at the moment. I mean, he doesn't look too put out by that, does he? Okay, well, there's no rest for the wicked, and it's on to the second stage now. And they burst into action. Everything now goes over the enemy walls. Already the first 2 men of each crew have crossed the chasm on the Traveller and sent it back to their mates who are bringing up the rear. The first of them with wheels, and then they're followed by the gun limbers. Everything is being closely watched by officials to make sure there are no penalties. Now, the first piece of gun to go across is the great weight of the gun barrels, 900 pounds apiece, remember. And it looks like Devonport are really moving ahead now. When the carriage arrives, the wheels are slipped onto the axles, the barrels lowered, and the gun taken away to a new firing position. Now, the last men to fly over are called the Flying Angels, and they bring the 10-foot spars with them, and when they're safely across, down slam the sheet legs, and Devonport are the first to fire. Part 2 over, and the strain is starting to show. These guys have done fantastically well. They've been under absolutely enormous pressure. They've got a lot of moral support there from their teammates. And I think the course is being checked over now, seeing if any penalties need awarding. Nige looks amazingly composed, considering he split his head open earlier. Time for the final push now. And they're off. They take their guns and limbers through the holes in the home walls. And when everything is through, they hook up the gun to the limber and pull its massive weight home. This is where the adrenaline really kicks in. Who's going to be first across the line? Look at them go, it's Portsmouth. Portsmouth were first, but who's going to be the overall winner? Not forgetting that penalties do get given in this event, and they could make a crucial difference to the team's overall time and really swing the balance. And so as we relive some of the highlights of that exciting run, it'll be a few minutes before we actually get the final scores, but let's hand over to Basil. He's in the arena for the provisional times.
The running times are these. Portsmouth, 2 minutes, 58.91 seconds. Devonport, 2 minutes, 56.3.
The Royal Tournament that in 1999 reached its last run after a proud history stretching back to 1880. A history that has formally involved our reigning monarch since she was a little girl of 4. In point of fact, the Queen, whose entire family were patrons of the tournament, failed to attend in only 1 year since that first visit.
The Ministry of Defence would not confirm that it was the last field gun run. But when it eventually became clear that it was, we put out the word and suggested that ex-field gunners should come and say a farewell, as it were, on the Queen's night. And they turned up in large numbers. It was marvellous.
So 400 to 500 ex-gunners, some here from Australia, New Zealand, Canada and the United States, marched out in front of 12,500 people and the Queen. the atmosphere was electric. Bill Bedford, 99 years old, and as far as was known, the oldest living ex-field gunner. Bill joined the Navy in 1916 to escape from operating a steam plant. He ran for Portsmouth in 1923. Eight bells, a solemn moment. The ship's bell of HMS Terrible ending the watch. It and HMS Powerful began 100 years ago at Ladysmith during the Boer War.
I really can't quantify it, but those old chaps we saw in the arena, their heart is still field gun, even though they're getting very long in the tooth. And this is picked up sometimes by the audience, the spirit they see of the field gunners and the individual team effort that's required, and they identify with it. And that's going back generations. I see grandfathers and fathers and sons who have had naval connections or who have not had a service connection. They're still very much for the field guns.
The evening of Monday, the 2nd of August, 1999, was looming large. So, time now to settle down, sit back, and enjoy the Royal Tournament, the world's first, oldest, and biggest military tattoo. And now, of course, a tattoo that can only be seen on video. For the final night, the Queen was represented by Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal, accompanied by her husband, Commodore Timothy Lawrence, and the chairman of the Royal Tournament, Major General Evelyn Webb Carter, OBE. The show is drawing towards the interval, and for the audience, their thoughts will be turning towards the imminence of the field gun run, which launches the second half of the 1999 Royal Tournament. To the Fleet Air Arm and Portsmouth would fall the honour of the final run on the final night of the final Royal Tournament. However, on Friday the 29th of July 1999, Devonport A crew attacked the course on the clock with sufficient fury to break a 15-year-old record held by Portsmouth and set the fastest time ever.
With just a handful of runs left in the Royal Navy's field gun competition, Devonport took on Fleet Air Arm and the clock. Their old and experienced crew were on the brink of history. Since they joined field gun in 1947, Fleet Air Arm proved to be a brilliantly successful team, establishing a reputation for professionalism and an approach to training altogether different from, say, Portsmouth's traditional and ultra-physical style. 3 rounds. Devonport set a new run-out record with 1 minute 20.86 seconds. The world record was on. The run back. Three rounds. And Devonport's split time is 58.65 seconds for the run back, still comfortably faster than average. The run home. Fleet Air Arm sprint for the line, pushing Devonport all the way. The Portsmouth record set in 1984 finally goes. Devonport split for the run home, 20.92 seconds. They've set a new world record time of 2 minutes 40.43 seconds. Nobody has ever run quicker, and nobody ever will.
This is it. The preparations are over. The last run on the last night. Outmarch Portsmouth on the far side, and on the Royal Box side, Fleet Air Arm.
Then, ladies and gentlemen, you see this evening's two competing field guns crews, now with their guns and limbers on the starting line, having marched into the arena, of course, to the tune of Heart of Oak. The crews are competing in a competition which is sponsored overall by DD Video, and the individual crews are individually sponsored. Fleet Air Arm, running on the Royal Box side of the arena this evening, are sponsored by the shipping division of the Maersk Company, and Portsmouth on the Phil Beach side of the arena are sponsored by Allnet Limited. Now the crews are competing for a series of trophies. First, the Points Cup with 2 points for a win, 1.5 each in the event of a tie. Then there's the Fastest Time Cup, the Aggregate Time Cup, and finally the trophy that will be presented to the crew who attract the least number of penalty points. Fleet Air Arm crew on the Royal Box side, Petty Officer Mark McShane, and for Portsmouth, Chief Petty Officer Pat Patilla reporting their state of readiness. Lieutenant Commander Mayfers ignites the thunder flash, the bugle blows, the crews take the strain. And away they go. Once down at the White Road end, you see everything wheel around and everything, men, guns, limbers, all go over the home wall. And in the center of the arena, the sheer legs are set up with the 28-foot spars on top to help to carry the first 2 men of each crew across the chasm. They're followed by the 10-foot spars that you see now slotted securely into the ramp on what is known as the enemy side of the chasm. Up go the wires, on the wires the travellers, on the travellers men with wheels. Each of the wheels weighs 120 pounds. Next, the gun carriage crosses the chasm. Each of those weighs 350 pounds. And then the great weight of the gun barrels weighing 900 pounds each. More wheels follow. And the last piece of equipment across the chasm, the gun limbers weighing 345 pounds. Like everything else, manhandled across the arena, through the holes in the enemy walls, and then when the guns are in position, they each fire 3 rounds. Both crews report ready. And here they respond to the bugle again. Everything comes over the enemy walls. And already the first 2 men of each crew have crossed the chasm on the traveller and sent the traveller back for their comrades who follow behind. The first of them with wheels. The limbers come next, and see how apparently easily they bring the guns to the top of the ramp on the enemy side of the chasm. The first piece of the gun now to cross. The great weight of the gun barrels, 900 pounds apiece, there to hang between the sheer legs to await the arrival of the gun carriage. And when the carriage arrives, the wheels are slipped onto the axles, the barrels lowered, and the guns taken away to the new firing position. The last men over are the flying angels, and they bring the 10-foot spars with them, and when they're safely across, down go the sheer legs. Both crews report ready. And here's your very last chance to cheer your favourite crew as everything goes through the holes in the home walls, and when they hook up, they pull for home. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you'll agree that we've seen a tremendous run this evening. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have the running times. We have the running times taken by the crews competing. for the moment, the running times are these. Portsmouth, 2 minutes, 47.1 second. Fleet Air Arm, 2 minutes, 46.3. Ladies and gentlemen, the last run, and so a formidable and what we've described over the years as the toughest team competition in the world marches into history.
The last night audience pay their own spontaneous tribute to the irreplaceable field gun competition.
For the very last run, all the field gunners donned black armbands. They were disobeying strict orders. At the end of the race, hundreds of field gunners poured into the arena. And in front of the royal box, they unfurled banners. It was an act of mass disobedience, and the crowd loved it.
After Portsmouth and Fleet Air Arm completed the last run on that last night in August 1999, the audience sent a message to those responsible for ending field gun.
And what we've described over the years as the toughest team competition in the world marches into history.
For the presentation of the trophies. 12,500 people galvanized by the arrival of these men.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the presentation will be made by our guest of honor this evening, Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal. And the first cup to be presented is the Interport Challenge Cup, also known as the Points Cup. And this year, it has been won by Devonport and is presented to the first trainer, Chief Petty Officer Neil Frame, and out of a possible 32 points, the crew achieved 29. Next to be presented is the Aggregate Time Cup, won this year by Devonport, with an aggregate time of 44 minutes and 33.18 seconds for the 16 runs of the competition. The trophy is presented to Chief Petty Officer Bob Pulley. The third cup is the Fastest Time Cup, which has been won by Devonport, with a time of 2 minutes 40.43 seconds, which of course was the new world record, and it's presented to Chief Petty Officer Tab Hunter. The fourth trophy is the least penalty points trophy. This year, the trophy has been won by Fleet Air Arm.
A fifth cup, the Copenhagen Cup, is awarded to the B Crew competition winners. This year, Fleet Air Arm.
Won this year by the B Crew of Fleet Air Arm. And the cup is received by Chief Petty Officer Jack Parnell.
This is followed by medals to all crews. Silver to Devonport. Bronze to Fleet Air Arm and Portsmouth. The richly deserved lap of honour for Devonport, who in fact dominated the 1999 field gun competition from start to finish. In field gun history, they stand